Space, the final frontier. Well, okay, not really. All right, take two. Here in the Mitten State, welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best thing since the neutral zone.
All right, back again. It is the Code 47 podcast on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, episode 132. My goodness, we didn't jump that far into the future, but yeah, I am. Oh, hold on.
Or did we?
Or did we? I don't know. We're going to find out because that
could be rather timeless movie.
Somewhat prescient to our conversation. But before we get to all that, I am your humble servant, Trek Lord of West Michigan, Charlie Carden, joined as always by my number one dude when it comes to all things trekking. That would be Mr. Peter Stein. Peter, good afternoon. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Rock and roll. I love it. Well, cool. Well, we're going to dig in to talk. We have a news item this episode. We're going to talk 3 more great episodes of Prodigy Season 2, and then we're going to begin the 5th season of Star Trek Voyager. So I am very excited about all that. But before I do get to all that, got to pay those bills, paying homage to the absolutely wonderful people that support us through our Secret Friends Unite Patreon. If you visit patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, you can try our wares for 7 days for free and then stay subscribed for as little as $2 a month and get great bonus content, content with no ads, content that comes early like this show, which will typically drop on a Saturday or a Sunday when everybody else gets it on a Monday evening. And new shows all the time, including a great show by our shared partner, Mark, Walk Nerdy with me when he wanders the wild streets of his Canadian coastal town and gives us his thoughts. So we look forward to hear more of that. On the besties level, we have our friend Chris 1H1D, Derek Trevelyan, my friend, known as the Figure Dude. He's my figure collecting partner. Francie, who is my wife's hairdresser. If you live in West Michigan and you have curly hair, you want to check out Francie. Just give it a googs. XEP, which is friend of the show, Luke Lore, and my awesome Uncle Tim in South Haven, Michigan. Always been one of my biggest supporters. So grateful for all of that. On the Friends with Benefits level, John Sedorf. The awesome Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, our partners, Krayley and Kelly. Brendan Myers, Corey in HD, and Matthew Keel. And last but not least, the big enchilada, the big kahuna of our Secret Friends family. That is our Secret Friends Super Squad, the awesome, nice family of the Twin Cities, Sean, Stella, and Henry. We are very grateful for all of you and for all of your support. Again, please visit patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Try us out for 7 days for free. And if you like it, think about sticking around. All right. Well, Peter, we have some news, and it's good because we don't always. But yeah, cameras started rolling, or at least there was definitely a table read, judging by this photograph, on the Starfleet Academy project this week. So this filming, as most things do, up in Toronto, unless I'm reading. Am I making that up, or does it say? Yep, they're filming at the Star Trek stage at the Pinewood Studios of Toronto, and you're seeing a lot of great people in the cast, including series leads Holly Hunter, Paul Giamatti as the villain, and recently added Robert Picardo, who I've met on numerous occasions, is just an absolutely fantastic human being. So what do you think? We've got our first really. Definitely kind of YA focused, not including obviously what we're going to talk about related to Prodigy, which is a little bit more preteen focused. But yeah, Peter, what are you thinking looking at this article?
I mean, it doesn't tell us a whole lot other than the cast started. It shows us the empty stage, so they haven't built anything yet. At least not that they've said.
Right.
So it's
suspense.
It's a big cast, which I did notice. Which can be a good thing because it sounds like they're telling multiple stories across like multiple different levels of the academy.
Right.
You're probably going to have, the freshmen, the seniors, and everyone in between, along with the staff, because that seems to be where, especially if like Holly Hunter is kind of the lead, then she's going to be having like a mentor role, and then a lot of the conflict is going to come from whatever Giamatti's character is antagonizing her and whatever her staff is, would be my guess.
Right.
But
Gotcha.
yeah, it could be fun. I mean, as we all know, I'm not the biggest fan of this particular time period, mostly
I
various
agree.
but I mean, we'll see. And like Admiral Vance was one of my favorite characters from the later seasons of Discovery, so I'm happy to see him back. I know he's just a recurring character,
Right.
but it'll be I'm curious to see what the plan is, just because it's focused on basically college, and a lot of college TV shows / movies tend to be kind of all the same.
Yeah. even in the 32nd century. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, there's definitely the propensity towards that. The good news is, like most all streaming programs these days, it's 10 episodes. So if it's not great, then you just have to wait it out, I guess, or find something you like about it or whatever it is. But yeah, I'm with you. The 32nd century time period hasn't exactly grabbed me, but this could be, at least in the eyes of
a lot of me, it has to do with visuals. I'm just not a fan of the visual design.
I gotcha. But yeah, this could be an opportunity. This is taking a project that's over 30 years old. I mean, don't forget that the Starfleet Academy concept was one that Harv Bennett had back in the late 80s, and really the Star Trek 6 could have been.
They almost did it instead of 6 in Generations. It's been tossed around several times, and after Nemesis, they tossed around doing it then. They ended up not, and we got Star Trek 09, which had like elements of the Academy ideas executed in an interesting manner, but but they had some of the ideas. And before that, right before 09 came out, we even had a book ghostwritten by Shatner that was about Kirk and Spock at the Academy. So this idea has just been kind of circulating everyone for a long time.
Right. Sorry, I'm minorly adjusting my setup here because I saw something in the background that had fallen, and I'm like, whoops, can't see that. But you know what? If you're not watching us on YouTube, you're definitely missing out. Oh, there it was. So anyway, so just to wrap it up succinctly, first season to include 10 episodes, and production likely to extend into 2025 since we're already at the 1st of September. Paramount has not set a new release date, but Alex Kurtzman, the EP, has said it may not arrive till 2026, which makes sense. I mean, they could, if they were to slam it in the first half of the year and then get it out.
My suggestion: do not slam it. That usually ends up with absolute crap writing and even worse special effects.
Yeah, can't have that. So good. All right. Well, we will stay on top of that. And I forgot to mention, we were banding around Harv Bennett's name. If you have not tuned into our Patreon for our tried and true Star Trek lovers, which would be, I imagine, people who listen to this program, Peter and I did and released on our Patreon a great interview with Nick Meyer, the director of Star Trek II, co-writer of Star Trek 4, and co-writer and director of Star Trek 6. That is on our Patreon now. Tune in for it because it will definitely, even if it's you sign up for 7 days and end up staying for a little bit longer, it's worth every penny because it's absolutely fascinating to listen to him talk about his background and his the latest in his series of books about Sherlock Holmes, which was greatly influential on Spock's character in those films. So, all right, well, let's move right along and get to speaking about Star Trek Prodigy. So we're moving into the back half of the season, and I remember with season 1, which aired on Paramount Plus before they shed it off like so much garbage. I hate to say, I'm still not happy about that. The first 10 episodes were a standalone release with, I believe it was a cliffhanger that led into the second part, where this actually kicked off. Well, I mean, all the episodes have been kind of interdependent one to the other. But this one, we actually, because we're doing these in blocks of 3s, we left our listeners with a cliffhanger because we talked about part 1 of Last Flight of the Protostar. Now we're going to talk about part 2. So, Peter, if you would be so kind.
All right, episode 12, Last Flight of the Protostar, part 2. Chakotay and the cadets devise a bold but perilous plan with ancient technology to relaunch the Protostar. Before the ship can fly, however, it will first have to sail.
You better believe it.
Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious that we take the maritime base of Star Trek and make it a reality.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh
Like
my goodness.
these starships, my starship needs to become a ship.
Right.
Yes, doll. It
Yes.
does.
Starship. So, all right. So, off the cap, what did you think? I have a few notes, but take it away.
I thought that this episode was fun. Like you have the whole thing of trying to get the ship loose from its sand encrusted embankment, which is interesting. They use the nacelles to push it off. You know,
Mhm.
you got movable nacelle struts. Might as well use them.
Right. Move it.
I did notice that they left the rover behind, which was a little strange to me because it's definitely in season 1. I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly if they replicated a new one in one of the episodes,
Yeah.
like episode 3 or 4.
Yeah.
They may have. I don't recall.
Yeah.
But-
Good catch.
But they left it behind. So just thing of note. But then the ship is going along and they have a triangle-shaped sail, which I thought was hysterical because at a distance it looks like Badgie. That's definitely not what they were going for. They were going for the Starfleet emblem, but just the
That's
coloring
good
and
catch.
everything was like, I don't think that's an on-purpose reference, but it could be.
Yeah.
But they're sailing along on it's not water, it's just very, very dense vapor is how they described it.
Yeah. I called it fart gas.
It is. I mean, Jake and Pog making enough of those jokes that it might as well be. It is a gas planet. So,
oh my gosh, 7 C's of fart gas. That's an early. I had a placeholder title, which we'll get to in it.
Yeah,
we'll
but
get to in a moment.
But so what they end up having to do is they need to charge the warp core with deuterium gas, which anyone who's listened to this podcast multiple times, I have complained bitterly about certain shows' lack of understanding of how warp cores work. Fascinatingly, Prodigy actually understands this.
It's in the place you would least know to look.
Exactly. Like, it's one thing that I really love about Prodigy, and I've said it before. Like, Lower Decks loves its universe, but loves to poke fun at it in like an ironic and meta way, which is great for what it is.
Yeah.
Prodigy just unabashedly loves the universe and everything that's in it, and it's so nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, they have to go to this giant, basically a whirlpool.
Yeah.
They call it a storm, but it's a whirlpool.
A maelstrom. Yeah.
It's a maelstrom of gas to go down to get the deuterium gas that's at the bottom. And various things happen, various things break. You have Dahl failing on remembering what port and starboard is, which, having played Sea of Thieves with multiple people, I can attest that most people can't tell port from starboard, so that's totally understandable.
I have an easy way to remember when it comes up for me. I simply think of in the Mutar Nebula in Star Trek II, again harking back to our interviewee, Mr. Nick Meyer, when Kirk is faced with the fluttery screen and they're trying to figure out what the Reliant is doing. When it flutters into, like,
you can see it
right in front of him, he goes evasive starboard, and then they go right, and then they go to the external of the ship, and you see them going to the right. That's how I always remember. Yep.
And if it's really hard, you can do port is left because it's short like left.
I never thought about that either. Look at all the nautical knowledge we're dropping out here.
So I completely understand that Dahl didn't remember, but it was just I was watching it again and I just had to snicker a little bit.
Oh my gosh!
Oh man, I've seen this a lot.
So. I dug on some of the bonding that I saw Chakotay and Dahl do. They had that little heart to heart. I thought that was So at first they weren't getting along, and then they end up having this.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing that Dahl's character arc where it's you don't necessarily need to do what you think you need to do. You need to be where you're needed.
Right.
Which is something hysterically that has seemed to be a trope in some films recently, most notably Deadpool 3.
Right.
Out of everything.
What a connection.
Yeah. So you have some good connections there. The crew has to work together. The ship gets turned upside down at one point, which is really funny. So they lose solar power. Right. And they have to manually go out. And you get a callback to something they did earlier in the episode where they actually allow Chakotay to reference something ancient, and then it gets used with Archimedes' lever, which is quite cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And so they manually get the lever to adjust the rudders that they've added to the exterior of the ship to get it to go where it needs to go to pick up the gas. Chakotay gets thrown overboard,
Yes, ouch.
and then Dahl goes to rescue him, and he has to disconnect himself from the lifeline.
Right.
Eventually grabs an eel to get dragged back up to the
Yes,
surface, which remind me of Star Wars Rebels hilariously.
I was going to say that and of Ahsoka as well. The
Purgle.
warp traveling Purgle. So it was great. Yeah, there's a lot of obviously unintentional intermingling, and maybe it is intentional between this and the animated Star Wars shows because
there's a lot of cross pollination, which is totally fine.
Kids love those too, and if that's a way to draw them in, that's good stuff. So I like that. I found a couple of things I found interesting. I got a little Chakotay's retcon. He said when I was your age, talking about him being in the Maquis, which he didn't do until he resigned from Starfleet. He was in his late 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that for us nerds that kind of set things in.
I mean, it could have been like he was talking about he referenced the Maquis, but was talking about how the Cardassians started to get horrific around that time, which kind of lines up.
And also how he left his home colony at age 15. I mean, he was 15 when he was a Starfleet cadet. If you watch the season 2 Voyager episode Tattoo, which is that's his backstory told in a framing sequence.
Yeah.
I did so the episode a little bit about the framing sequence of this episode. Janeway's star log at the beginning. We know that it's set in 2384 because she gives the star date as 61,000. So 6100, which would be 20 years after the 41000, which would be the first season of TNG, which we know is 2364 because Data actually says the year in an episode in season 1. So this is cool. So this is 20 years of history. So if this was to be filmed, it would have been filmed in 2007. If it was chronological. Yeah. So very interesting.
Is this the episode where Janeway talks to
yes,
that's the next one.
That's my second note. She does actually call Beverly, and they have a chat. And no, it's a later episode, which you're thinking of, where there's a further development with.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the comm screen.
Yes, it was definitely this one, and she's really awkward when Picard names comes up because she has his kid and he doesn't know about it. So fortunately that does not come up. But that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and they got Gates McFadden to come back to do
and they did
Pressure, which was really cool. I enjoyed having the actors come back and do their voices. It's great.
No doubt, especially she was also back in season 1 as a holographic representation of herself.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So final rating. This was a 10 out of 10 for me. Great episode. I said Captain Ahab and an appearance from Blazin' Bev, which I don't understand the social media thrust of why.
It's a picture from what's that?
From Sub Rosa.
Sub Rosa, where she's surrounded by the green smoke and making a very strange face, and so everyone
I just think
Sub Rosa is such a terrible episode.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's top 10. I would say bottom 10. We should, what we should do at some point before we get
top 10 worst.
Yeah, we should do a 10 worst. And I don't think we have to take it to the point where we're going to do like a bracketology like we did with episode 100. But we will do a bracketology again. I'm hopeful when we get to episode 200, and we'll have different selections and we'll whittle those down as well. But,
so Measure of Man might not win.
Yeah, Measure of Man might not on there. Yeah, exactly. We would eliminate anyone who competed the first time around. I think that would make the most sense. But that's something to worry about down the road. Let's move on to episode 13, which generated my first choice for the name of this episode. We'll have to debate it. Episode 13 is a tribble called Quest, which is a spin off of a Tribe Called Quest, which is a rapper from the early 1990s. And one of their big hits was called Can I Kick It?, which is what I would love to name this episode. But the fart gas one is also a contender. So anyway, to summarize, let me scroll back up again. So the crew is harvesting bosunite on a barren world when they encounter aggressively genetically modified tribbles and the Klingon scientist who created them.
Aggressive carnivorous tribbles.
Exactly.
Well, technically omnivorous, I suppose.
You took everything that was great about tribbles and kind of turned it on here. So yeah, the gang is they're down on a planet. They've got to get this bosunite. It's MacGuffin quest. They got to get the thing to put in the other thing, which is.
But interestingly, this is framed on two ends by Rock doing like scientific exposition.
Yeah.
which is kind of fun. Where she
Gotcha.
explains how you would create a star.
Yeah.
And then how you create a protostar. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, right off the bat, here's Chakotay still in that ratty ass t-shirt. I'm like, bro, you have got to have something, because later in the next episode, he's back in his normal protostar.
He hasn't decided that he wants to shave and take off his Tom Hanks out.
Yeah, he's looking like
on the island.
The Castaway.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah. So yeah, we get tribbles right away. One of them bites Rock, which is like, Rock's made out of rock. How does she get bit? But tribbles aren't supposed to have teeth. And we get a mega boulder tribble right away, and it's rolling towards them. It's very Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I thought was great.
It was and not everyone gets out.
Yeah, exactly.
Zero gets rolled over by a tribble.
Oh my goodness. So yes, they meet a grumpy Klingon. He's a Klingon scientist, kind of one-eyed dude. He can walk up to his bird of prey and like slap it, like the meme you see where the guy slap. You always have the card.
Yeah, the used car. This baby.
Yeah, this baby, and he can slap it and it decloaks it. But I'm like, that's a weird feature that I don't know. But you know what? It works. But yeah, he's been messing with tribble DNA. And he can't. They went super soldier on him. They got big. They got dangerous.
Yeah, he was trying to make them less reproductively constant.
Right,
but
because the tribbles are the classic enemy of the Klingon Empire, because tribbles hate Klingons. They were extinct in the 23rd century. They were brought back forward in time during the DS9 30th anniversary episode, where our gang intermingled with the original episode. So they obviously found their way to this planet. Exactly. So Rock has got she identifies it as a problemtunity, which is, I think the Chinese would approve, being that, the crisis and opportunity is whatever that word is. I think problemtunity fits real great. But we get, I keep forgetting that, I keep wanting to call her Nichelle, the Vulcan cadet.
Majel.
I'll never get that right. I will never get that right. So we're going through the thing. We get a nice bonding moment with Gwyn and Majel. I thought that was particularly standout. Not surprisingly, while Rock is doing her experiment, she managed to create basically a cute critter. So I called it Trek Baby Yoda 2, which could also be the name of this episode. But I'm like, you know what you got to do? They call it Bribble. There you go. I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
And yes, yeah. They've got. So then we've got to go on a mission. We've got to, rescue the crystals, but the crystals are in the middle of the tribble cage, so it's a rescue time.
So now we got to dump all sorts of modified quadrotriticale out in front for them to eat. But it's not enough, so they roll back in.
And I noticed in the hive where this was all happening, it's in a cave with all these porous holes, kind of like The Devil in the Dark, which I went the episode of TOS, which I went back and rewatched. I'm like, I'd love to see that episode. So they do manage to do that, escape. We get a few verses of the Klingon ditty, the Yaja Ko song that the guy's singing by himself, which is awkward. Somebody singing that song by themselves, isn't that? It's like karaoke when you're not.
Yeah, I mean, I will give them this, that the Klingon felt and looked like a Klingon.
Yeah, they nailed it. I didn't catch if the guest actor, I was trying to bring up the link, was anybody of note. Let me have a look here. But anyway, jump in while I'm looking it up, please.
Yeah, so we get, I think this is like our second or third version of a Klingon scientist. We had one in TNG, we had the one in Enterprise, and now we have this one.
Right.
And it's just hysterical. It's like, where there's not very many of us, but he's still focused on honor and everything. But we get like a Martok name drop. We get all sorts of stuff.
Right.
Classic Klingon interfaces. The one thing that I thought was a little strange was how Bribble was created, where it was like we had an active cell culture and Rock just sneezed on a rag and dropped it in it. I'm not entirely sure how that works scientifically.
You know what? It's a Star Trek thing. Must be.
It must be, but it was like it suddenly generated. I mean,
right.
DNA mixing, okay, fine, whatever. But it's like suddenly creates a fully fledged creature. It was like,
right.
All right. Well, you know what? That's fine.
Absolutely fantastic.
But
Why not?
But Bribble can communicate with the tribbles,
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Tribble. Yeah, so that making more of a parallel to the Baby Yoda piece, which I totally dug. So that was good.
Yeah.
So yes, I wrote Baby Yoda 2 as Tribble leader.
Baby Bribble.
Baby Bribble. Baby Yoda 2 Bribble. Steps off. So off they go. They're going to take Bribble back with them. The Tribble virus is going to work, so no more big boulder Tribbles. And they part company with, I did look up the actor, Jorge Gutierrez is his name. He's a voice actor that doesn't, within Memory Alpha, doesn't list anything else that would be probably relevant to people listening to the show. But I thought he was a great Klingon.
He did a great job as a Klingon. Yeah,
definitely nailed that. So so our gang is now off to reconnect with Voyager,
and the Protostar drive works.
And they work, so they're taking that bad boy back. So I rated 8 out of 10. It was a little side questy, but I thought it was a great way to put Klingons into the show and Tribbles into the show. Introduce 2 great TOS elements to kids in a way that that was fun and meaningful. So you know what? I'll bump that up to a 9 out of 10.
I think that's fair.
I think I hate to give them all 10 out of 10 because then I just sound very
no, this one would definitely be not quite a 10 for me just because it was more side questy. Like I enjoy going and finding the thing to fix the thing so you can do the thing.
Right.
But there was some of it was like
right.
But everyone's got to have those episodes. It's fine.
Absolutely. All right, cool. All right. Well, last one is yours. We are back to a reunion episode. So fire away.
All right. Episode 14, Cracked Mirror. If that doesn't give it away, nothing will.
Crunch.
The Protostar's reunion with Voyager has unexpected side effects, bouncing the crew between alternate realities, including the Mirror Universe.
Right. And this was a very direct adaptation of a season 7 episode of Voyager called Shattered, I think. I could be wrong. But anyway, Chakotay is at the crux of this wave in space that they go through, that he's the only one who can, when he goes to different areas of the ship, it's different time periods. But it's not alternate dimensions, it's different time periods. So
this is a twist on the formula.
Right. But I said, right, and I'll kick it back to you, but I said right off the gate, this canonized the Mirror Universe stuff that IDW has been doing in comics.
Yeah, it did. The uniforms, the insignia, everything.
Yep, that was great. We actually interviewed a while back on this show the Tipton brothers that produced that. And I would love to. I will make an effort to reconnect with them because I would love to have them on just a guest or even just to interview them as a catch up, because that was probably 3 or 4 years ago, close to the beginning when we started doing.
And the Mirror Universe stuff is quite interesting. So I enjoy the older or the comic takes more on the Mirror Universe, so they focus more on like what classically made the Mirror Universe interesting.
Right. Absolutely correct.
And this kept in with the whole mustache twirling villain and yet somehow campy stupid of the Mirror Universe, which is where it belongs.
Exactly. All right. So what you think? Keep going, please. By all means.
This is a fun episode. We obviously have Gwendala has some issues with her quantum stabilizer.
Yeah.
As she's going between multiple realities, and it's designed to keep her in one. So there's a little bit of some tension there, but it doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
But they beam on the ship at first. Hilariously, Rock has hologram Janeway watch Bribble, and Janeway turns her finger into a laser pointer.
Oh my God, that was so great. I didn't even make a note of that. It's so great.
Janeway was just like, I'm more of a dog person myself, and then pulls out, the cat laser. And this is going to be more fun for me than you.
Exactly. Oh,
it was a great
it was great. It's good stuff.
So they beam on the ship, and the doctor is like, oh, I thought you were all gone. And the Admiral, he's coming. He's coming. Who's that? And lo and behold, Jellicoe walks in.
Whoops.
And we find out that Janeway
and
Commander, why can't I remember his name?
It's with the T. Starts with a T.
But the Commander and the Counselor both,
all
three of them died on the Infinity.
Yeah, exactly.
So eventually, as they're walking back, the Doctor is like, oh, well, maybe you are in an alternate timeline, and maybe I'll help. Meet me at sickbay. And then they get into the turbo lift, some of them. Rock and Zero have to take another one because they can't fit. And they take up the turbo lift, and all of a sudden they're in the worst timeline. Which immediately made me think of parallels with, overly bearded Riker. The Borg are everywhere. That's not where we are, but that's what it made me think of.
Yeah, right.
So they go in there and find some wreckage. Hilariously, Rock and Zero, the doors open, and they're now on a ship that is run by the Enterprisians and Captain Tuvix.
So great. God, Tuvix finally gets his...
He gets a shout out. It was hilarious.
And our gang also ends up, the worst timeline, Okana is there, which we had Okana.
Yep. Everyone seems to want Okana around. I'm not entirely sure why.
Okana has that actor, William Campbell, or William O. Campbell, was a runner-up for the role of Riker. Back in 1986.
Yes, he was. And then he played the Rocketeer.
And he was the Rocketeer. I just watched a great video about the Rocketeer, which is, again, that's another property that just really needs another crack.
That was a fantastic film.
Really enjoyed that movie. So, that was great to see that. We get a little techno babble, but then we get into the mirror universe stuff. We get some great, like, red, everything is red, like lights and walls and everything, and then you get these great armored guards.
And hilariously, like, it's evil because Chakotay has a goatee.
Got to, exactly. Chakotay, by the way,
has to have a goatee.
By the way, did decide to finally shave his beard and put on a proper uniform before they beamed over.
Yes,
so
he cleaned up before.
At least he's got that going for him.
Yeah, hysterically, that doesn't last long, but they all get captured, put in a brig in the mirror universe, where we have slicked back Janeway with a Borg implant.
She looks like somebody who just got out of the pool. Like her hair is like cannot dry, and it's very short.
It's an interesting look.
And it makes it actually, it makes it look a bit younger. But regardless.
But they're all stuck in there, and hilariously, it's like, we're going to use the agonizer booth. Jenkum has this really ridiculous. The agonizer. What was like? Mean Machine taken. It was just like, I love it. It's so stupid, but I love it.
I did love on Janeway, and I noticed what, and I'd have to double check the reference, but I always thought the mirror badges were worn on the opposite side, a la mirror, but they still had them on the left breast, which I thought was weird, but whatever.
It's not always consistent.
That makes sense. Now, Mirror Janeway had a 7 of 9 like Borg eyepiece over her one brow, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, which I believe she does in the comics. So.
You know what? I think I've read the TNG more recent Mirror stuff, but I don't know that I've read the Voyager stuff. Or if I
haven't read a whole lot of the comics, but I do like keep tabs on when they come out. And and I do remember Janeway had the Borg ocular implant.
But Murph knocks out. He was always Q once called Chakotay Chuckle, so sometimes I refer to him as that in my notes. Knocks out the mirror Chakotay.
Which was hysterical because it's like, I'm going to torture one of you, says evil Chakotay. Torture me, says our universe Chakotay. No, that's too noble. I'm going to torture the cute one.
Oh boy!
And then Chakotay after Murph knocks Mirror Chakotay out, was like, it's always the cute ones that get you.
Oh my god! In order to give for our Chakotay to give himself a goatee, he used a little bit of grease from
Jenkum Pug's arm.
His armpit. And then Murph takes the occasion to give himself a goatee, which was one of the best parts of the episode.
Yeah. It was like, I don't think you really need that, Murph, but I appreciate the effort.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Go team. The deception doesn't last long.
Team.
Yeah. Go team. Mirror Janeway catches up with them and figures things out pretty quickly.
After they go to Cetacean Ops. The whales are evil?
Oh my, did the whales have goatees? I didn't catch that.
Oh, the whale didn't have a goatee. That would have been funny, but no.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, while this is all happening, the damn space bears show up. The time-eating space bears from the
the loom.
The loom, exactly. I wrote, damn it, Wesley, you had one job, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, they do make it's like he was keeping them out of our reality, not this one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, what are we going to... But it's all reality. So Mirror Janeway calls Murph Goobag, which I just think is kind of hurtful. I didn't really care for that.
I thought it was funny because it felt like it was a reference to Knights of the Old Republic meat bag.
Oh, geez. Yes, a lot of tension, but they finally are able to do a reset at the very last because they're on the bridge and they're struggling and you got to hit the one button, and it's like
hilariously, whoa! Like the Mirror Universe folks aren't trusting them, and then all of a sudden it's like, you have to trust us or they're going to kill us. Yeah, right. And then they're like, oh no, and then Janeway jumps into the command chair, and now you have like point-to-point phaser blast going onto the shields, which is honestly impressive.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. They do a lot of things visually in this show, and then certainly in the episode with the Protostar Part 2, with all of the stuff with the sailing and the fart gas and all those.
Really love. I mean, just like Lower Decks, they really love their spaceships. They really do, and so do we. So I approve.
Exactly. So we talk about Captain Tuvix again, and his Vulcan fusion cuisine gets mentioned by Zero, but we still don't get to see him. So I said double boo. That was a thumbs down for me.
It was a missed opportunity to just have one scene with Tuvix, but
yeah, I hear you.
Maybe they couldn't get him back to do it. Because it wasn't. I don't remember who played Tuvix, but it wasn't.
It was actor Tom Wright, I think was his name.
Yeah,
he was in Seinfeld and some other things. He's a character actor. So our gang gets reunited, and this is Janeway and Chakotay seeing each other. And I know it's a kid show, but it's just give you a big hug, buddy, where you just want to see them kiss. But whatever, you can't do it on a kid show.
They tee it up they almost could, and then they don't.
Yeah, but staying true to the direction of the show. I get it.
Yes. It totally makes sense. Yeah. It's just one of those you almost could have, but I get it.
Exactly. So Dahl and G, Gwendolyn, have a great Glad I'm Here With You moment. And I said it feels like a soft rock love song, but I loved it. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I gave this 9 out of 10. I thought it was a fun update and a twist on that Voyager episode that we were talking about. I said point lost for not seeing Tuvix. I think that's unbelievable. Yeah, don't leave Tuvix out in the cold. So, all right. Well,
justice for Tuvix. If he can't get it one place, let's give it to him in another. But we didn't even get it here. No.
Hashtag justice for Tuvix. All right. Well, when we return next week, it'll be 15, 16, and 17. And then the following episode, we'll be wrapping things up almost exactly in time. We'll have a return of the random episode after that, so I think we already have one picked. But then by that time it'll be October, and we will be watching Lower Decks, which is crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, time flies. So, all right. Well, all right. So, moving on, we're starting a new show this week. Peter is wearing his Voyager outfit. I should have. I know I've got to get back around to. I used to do it every episode, put a uniform on, but I will get better back at it. It takes commitment.
Once it gets cooler, I'm sure it'll be easier.
Because I recorded in my basement studio and it does get cooler. So you can count on episodes this winter. I'll do a little bit better about dressing up. But anyway, we're starting the 5th season of Voyager, which aired in the 1998 to 1999 season. So this ran contemporaneously with the final season of DS9, which again, they were like in name only, very, very different shows. But I think they really did some great stuff with that. So I will kick it off. Episode 1 of the season is called Night. David Livingston handling the directing, the script by Brandon Braga and Joe Manoski from October of 1998. Voyager loses power whilst traveling a dark region of space containing theta radiation. That's a crappy just like breakdown of this episode. But it starts out great because we get the introduction of a recurring holodeck program that's brand new. One of Tom Paris's creation called The Adventures of Captain Proton, which is a riff on 1930s black and white Flash Gordon style movie serials. So it's a lot of fun. Harry is his sidekick Buster Kincaid, and there's a buxom blonde who's the love interest, who I think they try to, in later episodes, they try to swap in 7 of 9, and she's not having it. She's like, this is a waste of my time. We go through the segment until the doctor walks in and he says, well, you've ran into my holodeck time. They start fighting over it, and it causes a glitch, which sets off an alarm on the bridge. And Chakotay says, you guys figure it out. We can't afford to have a holodeck down right now. And he looks out the front of the screen, and it's just blackness because they are traveling through a region of space that will take them 3 years to cross, or longer, maybe 2 or 3 years to cross. And they've been doing it for 3 months. And Janeway is doing what she ends up doing this season and next season. She might have done it one of the seasons in the past, where she's having kind of a crisis of conscience. She's having one of these, I screwed up, we're here because of me, now we're stuck in the situation because I wanted to save the Ocampa in the first episode.
She's brooding.
She's brooding. Yeah, she's very brooding, which, you know what? People want to say, oh, well, Captain Kirk wouldn't do this. I think anybody would do that in the situation.
Captain Kirk would definitely do that. I don't know if he would. I mean, it would look different.
Yeah.
But it would be the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Any of our, I mean, we see Archer get torn up about different things. We see Cisco get torn up about stuff. Like, it's going to happen to everybody.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, no, I totally agree. So
it's just that she's like brooding and moping with the lights off, which is just weird.
Right.
So I understand that part. But
and being sequestered in this, they end up running into a new recurring alien race, which is the Malon.
They're trash people.
They're the trash people. They're dumping toxic nuclear waste into this region of space where there are other life forms, which we also encounter. So Voyager has to do what Voyager has to do, which is to collapse the wormhole that has led the Malon to this, night space or the void. And then actually and ultimately at the end of the episode, our people are able to use this to blow up the Malon freighter and collapse the wormhole so that they can't go
and basically get home.
Yeah, exactly. Through the void. Exactly. Which unfortunately now they're dumped in the region of the Malon space, so we're going to end up seeing them again, which is fine.
Such a strange antagonist, but
I know. Yeah. Well, yeah. You just because you don't run into that kind of thing. Because at one point they have the guy on board, and B'Elanna's like, "Hey, if you do this, this, and that, you won't have to dump toxic waste anymore." And he's like, "Yeah, whatever."
Here's replicator technology, and they're just like, "Nah."
Yeah, he's like, that'll put me out of business. Brr, brr, brr. And the guy's he's kind of like a landlord scumbag. You know what I mean? So they're
pretty much.
They're the trash scumbag people. So, there's a bit at the end where Janeway thinks she's going to have to sacrifice herself, and the crew won't let her. So they have a little mutiny. But in the end, she's like, no, that's good. I love you guys anyway. So we're cool. But by the end of it, they go through the anomaly. They get out of the void, and life goes on. So
it's a really cool shot at the end where the stars just appear, and then they're flying through nebulae and everything. Yeah. It's like, oh, so pretty.
Yeah. So I dug the episode. Any other thoughts?
I mean, we've said pretty much everything that can be said around it. I think there's one weird shot where like the power is out, the lights are out in the holodeck, but everything's still up in the holodeck, which is bizarre.
Right, yeah. Well, don't forget the holodecks have a separate power system, or that's how they always explain how.
Yeah, I mean, the holodecks also do like replicate physical objects. It's always kind of nebulous as to what's physically there and what's not. So.
no pun intended.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But anyway, all right, well, cool. Next one's yours. Take it away.
All right, episode 2, Drone. Directed by Les Landau, story by Brian Fuller and Harry Kloor, teleplay by Brian Fuller, Brandon Braga, and Joe Manoski. Aired on October 21st of 98. The Doctor's mobile emitter is damaged while beaming back from an away mission, merging with 7 of 9's Borg nanoprobes and the DNA of a male ensign to create a 29th century Borg.
This is as close as 7 of 9 has come to getting some.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because, she does a Petri dish thing with Ensign Murphy, I think it is. Just some tall, handsome guy. Of note, the drone that they create, and then they go through all the typical stuff. It's really kind of reminiscent of the DS9 episode, early season 3, where they in some shipwreck they get a infant Jem'Hadar, and Odo kind of raises him, and he grows very quickly. This is very similar to that, and I think it has
that and elements of Hugh as well in there.
Yeah, very true. But the actor I remember very, very clearly as a character actor, who's J. Paul Boehmer, who was also, he played a Nazi twice in Star Trek. He was a Nazi in The Killing Game, which is the holodeck episode from season 4, the 2-parter. And then he was very briefly a Nazi in the beginning, in the alternate Earth history at the beginning of season 4 of Enterprise. He was in the truck with Hart. That was him. Funny. Yeah, exactly. So how'd you like to have that on your rap sheet? Well, I'm great at playing a Nazi. That sucks.
Cool.
Oh, great. Well, you know what? He got 2 jobs out of it. But anyway, so he is, what is he? Does he go by 1? They couldn't name the episode.
Yes, he goes by 1. Well, they couldn't call it 1 because they called something else 1 in the previous season. Yeah.
There was an episode named 1 last season where 7 was the only person who could operate the ship by herself because they were going through a radiation cloud.
Which then was revisited in Enterprise with Phlox, and it wasn't as good. But
very, very late.
Either episode all that much, but
Yeah, exactly. So this is, it's, I can say it's super derivative of that, but obviously we're still very heavily focused on making Seven a priority and making the Borg stuff a priority. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
at the end, at the end, they end up bumping into a Borg cube, and one has to use his special abilities to disable it, but that ends up crippling him, and he dies anyway. Which you knew he was gonna, because the Doctor
yeah, because
eventually gets mobile emitter back.
yeah, and you also couldn't keep something with 29th century technology around that was going to be exceptionally useful.
Right.
Because the mobile emitter, as useful as it is useful to one person.
Right.
Whereas if you had a Borg who could,
He'd
modify the ship.
Yeah, in like 5 minutes they'd be home. So yeah, that would kind of kill it off. But yeah, it was a good concept. I did like I liked the concept part of it. But yeah,
it's a very interesting episode.
You could very much feel that it was going to be a one and done. But I think they did okay with it myself. What do you think?
I think it was fine. It's not like the strongest episode out of the bunch, but it's solid. Like it's got interesting concepts. It's got some funny moments.
Yeah.
It's decent.
Yeah.
So
it's decent. I like that. All right. Episode 3 is Extreme Risk. Cliff Bowl doing the directing. Ken Biller, who's one of the regulars on the story staff at this point, from October of '98. B'Elanna purposely puts herself in increasingly dangerous situations on the holodeck with no safeties. Meanwhile, the crew needs to build a new shuttlecraft, the Delta Flyer, because they are in competition again with the Malon. See, they weren't gone for very long. But yes, Voyager launches a probe, which gets stuck in a fart cloud somewhere, and the Malon show up, being the specialties in fart clouds, and they have to race to each of them to rescue it first, but it's stuck in this middle layer of something or other. And so this was and it was funny, they hinted in the beginning of the previous episode, they like had a throwaway line like, we should build a new shuttle because blah, blah, blah. It's like, that was very thin. But that's exactly what they do. So yeah, they designed basically a little hot rod, and the design part of it is funny because once Janeway approves the project, everybody is standing around. Tom wants to add like fins to it at one point, and it's a model on the holodeck, and Tuvok's like, no. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, Tom wants to add his 1950s muscle car flair to it. It's like, dude, it's a spaceship. Which, I mean,
he does it more on the inside because he has little knobs and levers and stuff to obviously satisfy that impulse in himself. But that's the B story. The A story about B'Elanna, and it takes a
while to develop.
It takes a while, and it does really reinforce the great kind of big brother / father-daughter relationship between she and Chakotay, which very weirdly, in a strange fantasy sequence in the first season, she was like into him, and she dreamed when they were all having their dreams, she dreamed about making out with him. And I'm glad they decided not to revisit that, because they're better as mentor-mentee, I think, without a doubt. But it's revealed that she is after the news from the Alpha Quadrant came through back last season that the Maquis had all been killed off by the Dominion. She went into such emotional shock that she needed to do something to make herself feel again, and so she started running all these crazy programs. The one that she ran only the one time was a portrayal of a bunch of her Maquis friends being killed all at once by Cardassians. So Chakotay kind of makes her face that down, and then she kind of slowly begins the process of processing her grief and starting to live in the real world again. So, elements of, hollow addiction, like with Barclay on TNG. Yep. And then just overall, a commentary on, facing your grief and letting yourself grieve and letting yourself feel things. I thought that was great because it puts everything in jeopardy. She, where an engineer would be thrilled to be part of building a new ship, she doesn't care. She's pushing Tom away, and not that their relationship isn't really up and down anyway, but I thought this was a great episode for her. You know what I mean? And I love the Delta Flyer. Delta Flyer's fabulous. So I was glad to see the genesis of it. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add. It's a good episode. I will add that a fun little reference at the beginning is they finally used the orbital skydiving gear that they had from a deleted scene in Generations.
Which, that scene went so far as to generate a William Shatner action figure of him in it.
Yep, there's an action figure and there's some behind the scenes shots and like it's in the novelization. And if you find the novelization, there's pictures of that sequence.
I think I have or had at one point a hardcover of.
Yeah, I have it right over there.
Yeah, right over there in the back of the Delta Flyer.
Yes, it's behind that console right there.
Oh, very good. Yes, well, they have to show us later. So I thought this was this could even be one of the best of the bunch, even though we've got one coming up here.
Yeah. Episodes in Voyager, especially that focus on character development, are usually pretty solid.
Yeah, so I just really dug that. So, all right, episode 4 is yours.
All right, episode 4, In the Flesh, directed by David Livingston, written by Nick Sagan, aired November 4, 98. The ship encounters one of the training facilities of Species 8472 for an alien invasion of Starfleet and of Earth. This episode has one of the most brilliant cold opens where you're just like, wait, it's Starfleet, but they're wearing the wrong uniforms because they're wearing the gray shoulders back at, wait, what's going on? Why is Chakotay wandering around to the camera? What the heck?
Right.
It's just all these what is going on?
They really nailed it. And what's funny still is that they didn't wear the gray shoulders on Earth at this time. Really, at that time, they were pretty.
It was kind of when the gray shoulders showed up, they kind of wore them everywhere. But when we had early Deep Space, season 4, where you had they were still wearing this uniform on the station and they were still wearing the TNG uniform on Earth.
Yeah. I think one of the last times we saw the TNG uniform was actually at the end of DS9. I think that at that signing ceremony where Ross was on one side of the Dominion and they were signing the treaty to end the Dominion War, I feel like there was a TNG uniform in that scene.
There may have been. I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what? If I forget to look it up, dear listeners, add us on Threads or Instagram. Show us a picture, and we would be happy to see it because that would be awesome. Secret Friends Unite or this C3, that's me, which we'll drop that again at the end or look in the show notes. But yeah, this was fun. So we get a return of the late Ray Walston as Boothby, who's a totally awesome character, and we do get, gonna forget her name, but the exceptional actress who plays Ellen on Battlestar, Kate Vernon. We get Kate Vernon.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's playing it. And I don't know if you caught this, but the David Gentry, the ensign at the beginning, is Billy from Gremlins.
I haven't actually seen Gremlins, so...
Well, it came out a very long time before you were born, but when I was a kid, that was a very important 80s movie. Gizmo.
I'm aware of its importance. I've just never seen it.
It's all right. But anyway, Billy was the human character who inherited the little cute critter. As a Christmas present. So, but this is the only other thing besides Gremlins 2 I feel like I've ever seen him in. So very random to be like, hey, there's Billy from Gremlins is a 8472. But yeah, it's an America town, and even Tom draws that parallel. He says, back in the 1950s, there would be, scaled like a little town in the Soviet Union to help their people infiltrate. So that's exactly what this was. And it was one of many, apparently, according to what Boothby later says. But Chakotay poses as one of them so that he can find out more.
Fails, they figure him out fairly quickly.
Exactly. Tuvok is down there as well, but it was kind of cool to see people talking about Alpha Quadrant stuff, Vulcans and Klingons and and it's just, this was cool. This was a cool one. I really liked it.
It was also interesting to see the actor who played Boothby be able to do something other than just the wise old man.
Yeah, I'm tending the grounds. Yeah, he was kind of the boss. There was another character, Admiral Bullock, who was a character actor.
Yeah, he's one of the Xindi in season 3 of Enterprise.
There you go. Yeah. So I thought this was a fun episode. I don't think this is the last time we see 8472. Maybe it is. I'm not exactly sure.
I don't think so.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. But off the top of my head, I can't. I feel like I don't even necessarily know that we see him again, because at the end, Janeway does what she always does, which for the most part, she brokers a peace treaty. You stay away from us, we stay away from you. Because all the Hirogen stuff with the 8472 was last season. So
I think this might be the last time we see it.
Yeah, gotcha. And I mean, I know the Hirogen, speaking of that, get a name drop in Picard because they apparently showed up at some time in between, but I'm not sure about 8472. So I would either have to do some research or have one of our wonderful viewers hit us up and let us know. That'd be awesome. So, well, cool. Any other thoughts about this one?
Not really. I mean,
Yeah. It was good stuff. I liked it. Well, I think the same can definitely not be said about episode 5.
Yeah.
Episode 5 is Once Upon a Time, John Kretschmer handling the directing, written by Michael Taylor, who is the son of series co-creator Jerry Taylor. So I guess I expected a little bit more. From November of 98, Neelix looks after Naomi Wildman when her mother is injured on an away mission, and injured on the away mission, not while away, because she's just like, where's my mom, blah blah blah. And so this is a whole episode told through the perspective of Naomi Wildman, who is played by, Peter's got a motorcycle driving through that. It's because the Delta Flyer's a hot rod. That's what
I guess so.
I guess, yeah.
Pull that lever. Let's drop down a gear.
I guess. But Naomi Wildman was played by the young Scarlett Palmers, who later grew up to be on a sitcom that was starring Reba McEntire, the country singer, for many, many years, and is still active in Hollywood today. But this was her as, a 6-year-old girl or whatever it was, which is amazing that she aged, because she's part Katarian, she's an alien race, she ages twice as fast, at least during this age, like all kids on TV, like Alexander Worf's son did. But isn't that amazing? So, this is what's my least favorite episode of TNG involving kids? Oh, any of them, but I was thinking in particular the Imaginary Friend episode, because this has a lot of elements.
This is very, very similar to Imaginary Friend, and and I don't like it for similar reasons.
I mean, it's a slice of life thing,
Yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff with Naomi. I mean, Flotter is interesting to a point in the other times that he shows up.
Right. Yeah,
I don't find it terribly interesting, but then again, even growing up, I was never one of those kids that like attached to some of the more cutesy stuff that kids would watch when they were growing up.
Not
so for me, it's like
Arthur or Barney or any of that stuff.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know.
Meh. Yeah,
I mean, if you're into it, if you like Flotter, go for it. I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, Neelix is, and I've met Ethan Phillips in real life, or Johnny as they call him, very, very nice guy, and super funny, because on the cruise they did this improv where they basically talk over an episode of TOS, and he was it was on the first year that he was there, and he's a very, very funny guy, but the character of Neelix just never really clicked with me. I don't know who it really did click with, but it wasn't.
I mean, there's a chunks of Neelix's story that I enjoy.
Yeah,
I prefer him when he's not dealing with Kes, obviously, because that's just a weird relationship.
Very weird, yeah, exactly. And again,
I like how Neelix has a very paternal relationship with Naomi Wildman. That actually does work.
Yeah, no, I agree. And he talks a little bit more about his own past, and how he lost his family, and how that is parallels between kind of what Naomi is going through, because her mother is another forever ensign. You know what I mean? Because she's never gets a promotion.
Ensign Wildman never gets a promotion through the entire show.
But it's not as in your face as this with poor Harry. But you've got to have filler episodes. This is definitely one of them. Mm-hmm. Even though it produces a moment or two overall, it's kind of a miss for me.
Yeah.
So.
As with all filler episodes, this isn't one that I'm going to cringe through and wish never was released, like Sub Rosa or others. But it's definitely, it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, so. No doubt about it. All right, well, here's one that I know that we're both going to call a favorite. So it's all yours. Number 6.
All right, episode 6, Timeless, directed by Star Trek legend LeVar Burton. Story by more legends, Rick Berman, Brandon Braga, and Joe Menosky. Teleplay by Brandon Braga and Joe Menosky.
All the winners.
Yep, everybody. Aired on November 18th of 1998. 15 years in the future, Chakotay and Harry Kim attempt to prevent Voyager from crash landing on an ice planet. That shot that is used in like every single promotional material for Voyager at this point.
Disaster segment. And again, just like back in the Flesh, what a great cold open. Because you just get two guys that are head to toe in cold weather gear, beam down, and they're wandering around what's obviously stage 16 because it's just a snow set. And one guy sticks a thing in the ground, and then rips loose a thing on his chest where he can touch a badge and says, "We're here!" And you just get this great big pull out further and further, and you see Voyager's ship registry under a bed of ice. And so you're like, "What is going on?" Yeah. And then it just goes from there. Just but anyway, please, your thoughts before my thoughts.
Like they reveal that it's the Voyager that's frozen underneath all of that. And then we get a little bit of them exploring the frozen ship, and we see like frozen crew members. And we kind of get over a bit of time that like they think it like there's kind of a if I'm remembering correctly, like Kim thinks it's his fault that all of this happened. Eventually we actually get a flashback.
Right. Yeah. So we get a little framing between them walking around. You're getting, they finally cracked the slipstream technology. Mm-hmm. They, built a drive around it, and they were christening it. So it was B'Elanna smashing a champagne against the, not exactly against the warp core, but close enough to it to have the desired effect. And then, Tom thinks, I think something's wrong. We need to run some simulations. And they find out that only by having the Delta Flyer fly in front of the ship and send course corrections, and the two of them kind of flying in tandem, are they going to be able to navigate it. And it doesn't end up working because they get all the way to the Alpha Quadrant, or they're on their way there, and Voyager gets thrown out of the slipstream while the Delta stays in, and the Delta Flyer only has Harry and Chakotay on it, which is obviously why they're in the future. And then, Voyager crashes and everybody dies. So that's crux of the episode. So in the future, Chakotay has a girlfriend. She's helping them. You don't really get her backstory, but she's probably ex-Starfleet as well, I would imagine. And they're busy, so they have to exhume 7 of 9 and use some of her like Borg headgear to beam a message to the past, and they're actually also able to resurrect the Doctor because he was never really dead. He was just, once they're able to grab his mobile emitter from the wreckage of Voyager, they're able to turn it back on. So he does the surgery, and then, he's kind of Mr. Exposition dump, because through him, our people tell him everything that happened, which is, Voyager was searched for a long time, but eventually they gave up because they didn't find anything. And it wasn't until Harry continuing to work on these calculations for 15 years that he thought if they went back and beamed the information back through time, they could rescue stuff, but they get caught. Who shows up to stop them?
Geordi LaForge, Captain LaForge of the Challenger.
Well, LeVar Burton could say, "Hey, I get 2 paychecks this way," because he directed it and he guessed it.
And it's fun. It's the gray shoulder uniform from the current time period elsewhere, and then it's the all good things badge. So use everything.
It's funny because what changes in the timeline result in changes in uniforms because then that particular combination never gets used together in the prime timeline. So, of course, Harry says, "Well, I can't figure it out, and it's too late," and then the Challenger, which is a Galaxy-class ship, by the way, it's great to see one, is chasing the little Delta Flyer and taking catastrophic damage, so the Delta Flyer is going to blow up. And Harry says at the last minute, "Well, if I transmit this code, it'll throw both of them out of the slipstream, and they'll be fine," which he does. And so back in the past, both ships get thrown out. They do pick up an extra 20,000 light years to get closer to home, which is great. But this way, in the now negated future, the Delta Flyer blows up, but that never happened anyway, and everybody's back. Harry did manage to future Harry, who no longer
sent a message.
He sent a message, which is funny because even Harry says, "How could I have sent myself a message from a future that no longer exists?" And Jane was like, just let it go.
It's Star Trek temporal mechanics, which I love very much, and will not take us all the time to explain it because sometimes it gets convoluted. But
there's no real explanation. Yes, ripples in time. But yeah, what a great classic, and giving Harry Kim the meat of the story, the forever ensign who, he'd sounded like in this alternate future, he then rose through the ranks, and admirals pinned medals to my chest, and so you figured maybe he at least got one more pip. we hope, in his time. So, but yeah, Class A episode, love it. And this was during sweeps because I've explained sweeps to you in the past. How in November and May of a broadcast year, networks tried to really ramp up and have very special episodes to really make people watch so they could get more ratings, which would help them sell more advertising. So this was a sweeps episode, and it was a great one. I really dug it. And yeah, but by bringing in the ship that looks like the Enterprise and bringing in Geordi LaForge, just be like, watch, it's very exciting. So, but you know what, even though it was cheap, call it a cheap stunt if you want to, it was still a great story. Loved it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, we'll wrap it up with episode 7, Infinite. 7, and it's about 7 and 7. Infinite Regress. David Livingston doing the directing, a story by Robert Doherty and Jimmy Diggs. Jimmy Diggs is a name I recognize. Robert Doherty, not so much, but Robert Doherty also did the teleplay. Thanksgiving episode, November 25, 1998. Voyager brings aboard an advanced piece of Borg technology, a vinculum, so there's a new Borgish word that we got, from a salvaged Borg cube. 7 of 9 begins to take on the personalities of people that had been assimilated by the cube. Which is, it's kind of a hair-splitting thing because personalities assimilated by a cube just means they become part of the collective. So isn't that really not very specific? That sounds very like a closed system, which the Borg is not. But for the purpose of this episode, it does give.
I mean, it's kind of unclear. Like the collective functions in like nodes.
Yeah.
So like they are separate, but they also communicate. It's kind of like, to get technical, it's like a cloud computing situation where you have servers here, here, and here, but they all talk to each other.
The cloud. So. But anyway, Jerry Ryan does get some meat to play, a young girl or a Klingon or a
Ferengi.
Or a Ferengi or a Starfleet officer. So she does get to play around a little bit, but obviously, this is serious. If you find out that the vinculum was actually, you mentioned Hugh Borg earlier, there was an alien that kind of Hugh Borg to this vinculum. He created a virus that if the Borg came along, rescued this vinculum, which is obviously a critical piece of technology, it would then send out this infection, which doesn't happen. It only happens to 7. And these aliens don't want to give it up. They're like, well, we can't have you fix it because that would negate our whole plan. And they're like, well, we have to save our crew member. And they're like, well, I think we'll blow you up instead. Which is often how Voyager episodes end. You get the last 15 minutes where it's like, and now somebody's got to blow up Voyager to save it. And at the end of it, obviously they save 7. I don't dislike 7. I mean, I enjoy 7 as a character. I don't always get super excited when they find kind of run-of-the-mill ideas of what to do with her. But this one, it took on something kind of new, but it also stole something from TNG with the Hugh Borg storyline. So I guess I'm not 100% sure how I felt about this one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So,
I do enjoy how it allowed Jerry Ryan to have a little bit more, stretch more of her acting muscles to do different things. So you get to, because a lot of times people play, like you see someone play like a specific character, like, oh, they can't act outside of whatever. And it's like, oh no, she can act. She can act very, very well. Here you go. So I enjoy, so that's kind of fun to be able to see her capability portraying all of these different people, basically.
Right. Totally. Very good. Excellent. All right.
And there's a fun little moment at the end with Naomi Wildman. It's like, you will teach me Kadiskat. I will comply. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, because one of her personalities was a girl like the same age as Naomi, and they were playing Kadiskat. But anytime Seven had one of these personality overtakes, when it wore off, she didn't remember.
She didn't remember what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was I just, like I said, I don't 100% know how I feel about it, but again, it was great to see Jerry do. She's a very talented woman, very talented actress, and to be able to stretch a little bit was pretty good stuff. So, well, all right. Okay. So 7 episodes. Let's pick a favorite and a least favorite to wrap things up. So fire away.
For my favorite, I might have to go with, Oh man, I might just go with In the Flesh because it's fun.
Right.
Like there's like as we mentioned, there's some really really good character moments with like Extreme Risk and such and Timeless. But I like the fun and the ridiculousness of In the Flesh, where it's like you have 8472. They're not really evil; they're just kind of doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just it's an interesting take, and it's funny to see Boothby doing not Boothby things.
Right.
So just for that, that's why I'll pick that. That doesn't mean it's like the best directed, best acted, or anything. It's the one that I probably enjoyed the most.
That's all right. I'll have to do the obvious take, and the people at UPN got me here with the sweeps episode. But I love Timeless. It was great to see Geordi, even if it was gotcha moment with the alternate timeline. This is one of the better time swapperoos, I think, because you had Harry, who is the vulnerable, the baby child of the crew, and to see him suffer as an adult and ultimately figure out that he can save the day, he just can't save it in the way he wants to. And then you're seeing present day Harry kind of suffering with that, but then he gets to watch this message from his future self. I really like that. I thought that was a good moment. Yeah, that was definitely a good moment. All right, what I feel like we're going to tie it up for least favorite, but go ahead.
Probably has to be Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Like it's not the worst episode ever made. I just didn't really enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I know. It's just, if the hope is to reach younger viewers with it by focusing on a younger character, I don't know if that's really a factor. So I don't necessarily know how that played out. So I don't know. And we will never know, because again, with all these episodes, it's very subjective. So if that's your very favorite episode of this batch, drop us a line. As I sometimes forget to mention, we do have a mailbag over at secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about the episode. Give us some other takes. And we would be very happy to read those on upcoming episodes of the show. We're always very interested in the thoughts of our listeners, because we love you guys. We would be doing this without you. So, all right, that's the show. Peter, where do people find you out there?
You can find me around the interwebs at Petrus Aquinas. Not terribly active, but if you ping me, I might say something. Mostly active on Discord. You can also find me on ELH's Twitch and YouTube channels. We started a new Star Trek Adventures game with the 2nd edition rules, Star Trek Stilla. We even have a website, which you can investigate all of the characters. I am the Cardassian science officer, and as a secondary, I play a Horta engineer, which is hilarious.
Oh my goodness! Not a lot of lines as a Horta engineer, I'm sure.
Well, you do the conceit of there's a universal translator, and then just make sure that he speaks like the Boulder from Avatar, and it's great.
Good stuff. So. All right. And as always, you can find me over on Instagram and Threads as at the C3 THECEETTHREE. My main home is our Secret Friends Unite Discord, most friendly Discord in all of Discord land. Don't look it up. But in addition to running that and having fun geek conversations there, April, my wife, and I also run the United Trekkers of Michigan, which is a purely themed Trek discussion group, and it doesn't have to be people from Michigan, but we just had to give it a name. But we'd love to see you over there as well. So give us a ping, and we'd be very happy to add you in. With that, I'm going to tell you, as always, friends, thank you for joining us. Let you know that sharing is caring. Keep on trekking.
Peace and long life.
Nanu nanu.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.